The Galactic Council chamber smelled like sterilized pride and recycled air. An enormous ovoid hall, all polished obsidian curves, glimmering starlight filters, and impossibly tall delegates, hummed with bureaucratic boredom. Seated on levitating discs arranged in a perfect spiral, each representative floated with the silent, self-important stillness of beings who had not experienced real war in thousands of years. Until the human showed up. He was late. Of course he was. By council protocol, a tardy representative forfeited their seat for the rotation. But Sean Drake didn't stroll in like he was worried about procedure. No, he walked as if he were on time, and the universe itself had misread its calendar. He carried a dented silver thermos, wore a fitted black blazer over a plain navy tee. His boots, one scuffed, one perfectly polished, thudded lightly across the marble floor. No entourage, no armor, no translator drone. Just a man with a crooked smile and faint crow's feet around his eyes. The Empire delegate blinked. Several tentacled representatives exchanged confused neural signals. Drake stopped at the human podium, took a sip from a thermos, and finally looked up. "Sorry I'm late," he said casually. "Traffic jam in the Horsehead Nebula. Somebody parked a supercarrier sideways." Several alien translators buzzed. A few council members chuckled. Most didn't get the joke. High Chancellor Zurich of the Empire most certainly did not. Zurich rose slowly, an 8-foot reptilian figure cloaked in ceremonial obsidian silk, every movement designed to project superiority. "We convened this emergency tribunal due to an alleged misunderstanding," he said, voice like dry gravel scraped over bone. "Your colonies filed an emotional petition regarding 12 missing juveniles. This council has determined preliminarily that no significant galactic laws have been violated." Drake blinked. "Ah, good. Just need to clarify one thing." With a flick of his wrist, he tossed a data chip into the central hologrid. 12 images snapped into view midair. Children. Human children. Ages 7 to 12. Different ethnicities. All smiling. One holding a stuffed velociraptor. Another with braces, awkwardly flashing a peace sign. "Which 12 specifically?" Drake asked gently, taking another sip of his coffee. The room fell quiet. Zurich's nictitating membrane blinked. "I beg your pardon?" Drake's smile didn't falter. "You said 12. Curious which ones you're referring to. Because Earth has records of exactly 12 children captured during an unauthorized sweep in Sector 43 Vega. Your patrol ship Civrexian Dawn entered orbit, claimed it was on an ecological survey, and then left with 12 kids and exactly 0 paperwork. I'm sure, Zurichist, if there were any oversight, it will be addressed via compensation protocols." "See, that's the thing," Drake said, setting the thermos down. "You're talking about protocols. We're talking about kids." An audible rumble of disagreement spread from the Empire's delegation. The Urati ambassador adjusted his breathing mask. The bulbous senator from the Tau Crixian void leaned back uncomfortably, his upper fronds curling in what humans might describe as an O. Ambassador Yrh Tharn, an ancient avian with feathers turning to silver, finally spoke. "Representative Drake, let us avoid escalation. Surely Earth would prefer restitution rather than conflict." Drake nodded. "Absolutely. Earth prefers peace." He leaned forward. "We just don't like having to earn it with blood." A low static pulse thudded through the room. A power signature. Every security sensor suddenly activated, reading nothing. No weapon. No device. Just a tiny irregularity in Drake's jacket pocket, like a paperclip had offended a nuclear warhead. Zurich's voice became colder. "You threaten the Galactic Empire with sentiment." "I threaten no one," Drake replied, eyes calm. "I just came to ask a question." He pressed a button. A map expanded behind him, 12 red dots across the Empire's outer rim colonies. Then another file loaded. It wasn't a tactical display. It was a spreadsheet. 12 Earth families, each with military clearances, each with someone missing. "They didn't just take kids," Drake said quietly. "They took our best leverage." Zurich laughed, a slow reptilian rasp. "You think this warrants war? Your kind are barely out of infancy." Your fleets are primitive. Your weapons kinetic. Your shields outdated. Drake's smile softened. And yet you still took our children. He glanced at YRH Tharn. We've notified the parents, by the way. Oh, Tharn asked cautiously. And how did they respond? They're en route, Drake said cheerfully. Unofficially. What does that mean? Hissed Zurich. Drake turned his palms upward. Means I couldn't stop them. Trust me, I tried. He retrieved his thermos, tightened the lid with a click, and added. But they don't like meetings. They prefer fieldwork. Silence. Then, like clockwork, the central transmission tower sparked to life. A grainy signal fed into the room. An alien station, Empire-controlled, was on fire. Alien voices screamed. A human voice crackled through static. This is Retrieval Unit 7. We have eyes on 3 of the 12. Repeat, we've got our kids. Then static again. YRH Tharn stood. Impossible. No formal declaration. You're right, Drake said. This wasn't a declaration. This was a revocation. Of what? Whispered Zurich. Of restraint. Zurich's second heart thudded violently. This is a diplomatic violation. The Council will sanction your planet. Drake tilted his head, almost sympathetically. You think this is Earth? He asked. He raised a hand. A 3D sphere rendered in the hologrid. A list of outer colonies, moon stations, Earth train contractors, even Black Ops mercenary groups. All civilians by paperwork. All now active. We're not one planet, he said. We're a species. Scattered. Adaptable. And very, very focused when provoked. Zurich snarled. Then we will erase your colonies. Exterminate every shadow cell. Drake nodded thoughtfully. You could try. But your war simulators, they're based on metrics, right? Zurich bared his fangs. Correct. Cool. Well, we don't use those. We use spite. YRH Tharn looked visibly concerned now. Commander Drake, what is your objective? Drake smiled again. Objective? Same as always. He tapped a button. 12 more signals lit up in red. Children still missing. The message was simple. We don't escalate. We recover. And if the Empire resists, Zurich spat. Drake's voice dropped, the smile gone. Then we adapt. And adapting is what we're best at. Outside the chamber, in orbit, Earth's vessels weren't sleek. They weren't beautiful. But they were moving. No lights. No beacons. Silent kinetic hulks, crawling through the void like sharks beneath a frozen lake. Empire patrol ships pinged their scanners. No response. Because Earth's warships didn't use standard drives. They drifted, coated in black radar-absorbent alloys. Like ghosts. Waiting. Back in the chamber, YRH Tharn stood and bowed slightly. Commander Drake, I suggest we request a recess before further emotion escalates. Drake smiled at him. You've always been the sensible one, Tharn. Then he turned back to Zurich. I'll stay in orbit for a bit. No pressure. Just in case any more misunderstandings happen. Zurich hissed. You think a single human fleet will scare the Empire? Drake leaned forward slightly, eyes now sharp and cold. I think the real question is, what do you do when they don't come with fleets? The session closed. No resolution was declared. No peace was signed. Just silence. A diplomat with a coffee thermos. And the whisper echoing through every alien ship that intercepted Earth's encrypted broadcast. If you have our children, let them go. If not, run. The mining moon of Reshtal Prime should have been unremarkable. Just another rocky outcrop orbiting a Class 4 gas giant, spattered with atmospheric processors and forgotten Empire bunkers. But that morning, the ice mist fog swirled with a stink of melted alloy and burnt protein. What was left of the Empire's forward operations post-flickered and popped like a dying campfire. Power nodes hissed. Cracked armor plates lay embedded in crater walls. And in the middle of the ruins stood Field Commander Trassic, trying very hard not to lose his mind. Report, he barked. Voice filtered through the translator in his battle helm. Gone, sir, murmured Scout Tilk, hunched beside a half-crushed console. His claws trembled. All 27. Every single soldier gone. Trassic's lower mandibles twitched. We recovered bodies? No, sir. No bodies. Just Tilk trailed off and raised a shredded piece of fabric. It was dark green, scuffed and dusty, the edges burned, but the human letters were still legible. Tactical Hog Squad, Earth MOM Division. Trassic stared at it, blinking. What in the void does that even mean? Don't know, sir. But it was pinned to a frag rail spike, like they left it deliberately. Trassic turned to the wreckage of the command bunker. The sensor array had been surgically destroyed. No signs of a breaching blast, no orbital scorch marks. Just taken apart, stealthily, like a hunter dissecting prey without waking the forest. The worst part? No alarms were triggered, no battles were logged, and not a single trace of plasma fire remained. I want full logs pulled from the backup AI stack, he growled. Find me any data, anything that shows how they got in. There's more, said Tilk. He led Trassic toward the comms relay, now fused beyond repair. Someone had scrawled words into its soot-covered plating. English. You took Cubs. Now you've called the pack. Trassic tilted his head slowly. Cubs. Tilk nodded. Human slang. Children. 2 star systems away, aboard the stealth cruiser Reckoning Tide. Sean Drake sipped hot coffee as a hologram flickered before him. Empire worlds with sudden gaps. Bases missing. Patrols silent. Supply lines erased. He tapped the map, and a small blinking dot zoomed in. The Reshtal post now offline. Behind him stood Lieutenant Childr, a tall man with a nervous smirk and a sniper's eyes. That's the 4th site this week, Childr noted. Sean nodded. Empire's still trying to figure out if we're sending battalions or bad luck. Childr chuckled. We could tell him. But where's the fun in that? Sean leaned back. Fun isn't the goal. Messaging is. A chirp interrupted them. Encrypted audio feed. Hacked transmission from an Empire cruiser. Trassic's voice, frantic, crackled through the bridge. No survivors. I repeat, no survivors. Requesting urgent reinforcement from High Command. Target unknown. Suspected human operatives. Request. Then silence. Childr exhaled slowly. They're starting to believe. Sean nodded. Good. Belief breaks faster than armor. On the bridge of the Imperial Dagger, Overwatch Admiral Crix XA of the Empire seethed. She stood surrounded by her fleet command, eyes darting across holograms of blinking red bases. Impossible, she hissed. Humans are still operating on fusion drives and projectile weapons. Perhaps, said Intelligence Officer Vrek, we've misjudged their application of low-tech solutions. They have no cloaking fields. No, ma'am, Vrek said slowly. But they seem to have camouflage. They hide their ships in asteroid fields. They black out their emissions. They drift. They drift. Vrek nodded. Their vessels don't fly so much as wait. Like predators. Waiting for movement. Crix XA snarled. Then we shall flush them out. We'll hit back harder. Show them the power of the Empire. Respectfully, Vrek said, that may be exactly what they want. Hours later, a fleet of 10 Empire warships dropped from hyperspace to surround an unregistered Earth merchant vessel floating near a Class 9 gas planet. On paper, it looked like a broken-down cargo hauler. Power flickering. Emission levels erratic. Crix XA's voice rang through external channels. Unidentified Terran craft. You are in violation of Galactic Security Directive 09. Power down and prepare to be boarded. The ship's reply came 5 seconds later. Calm. Friendly. Oh, sorry, was just napping. This thing doesn't do well above FTL4. You folks always patrol this side of the nebula. Crix XA narrowed her eyes. State your designation. Name Zeddy. Just hauling snacks and spare socks. A few of the Empire captains chuckled. Then a subtle ping on their proximity sensors. Another Terran ship. Then 2, 5, 8. All previously cloaked by asteroid fields, drifting under solar shadows. Crix XA blinked. How long have they been there? No idea, Vrek said softly. Get out of there, she barked. Now. Too late. Every Terran ship lit up with coordinated pulses, precision jammers, spike mines, and kinetic rails. Within 8 seconds, 3 Empire cruisers were dead in space. One exploded from within. The other just vanished, pulled into a gravity the humans had installed weeks prior, disguised as space debris. Eddie's voice returned. You wanted to see Earth's tactics, right? Hope you brought popcorn. At the Empire capital, High Chancellor Zurich watched the disaster feed in stunned silence. What is happening? He barked. Ambassador YRH Tharn spoke from a corner, quiet but firm. What's happening, he said, is that you kidnapped children from a species that doesn't believe in vengeance. They believe in justice. With fire. Zurich turned on him. They're primitives. Then why, Tharn asked softly, are your generals hiding behind planetary shields? Back aboard Reckoning Tide, Sean was briefing the recon squad, men and women from a dozen Terran factions. Ex-military, nomads, scientists with itchy trigger fingers. They're still underestimating us, Childr said. They're still using data models, Sean replied. We're using rage and rope. He tapped a hologram, showing the 12 children. 3 had been recovered. 1 had been shielded by a rogue alien merchant who begged humans not to retaliate. They know they crossed a line, Sean muttered. They just don't know how far behind the line we've been standing with a knife. Meanwhile, in a desert world controlled by the Empire, a lone human operative walked calmly through the central square. He was whistling, dressed like a merchant. He carried nothing but a metal briefcase and an old photo of a girl missing her front teeth and holding a popsicle. The Empire patrol confronted him. State your business. The human stopped whistling, smiled politely. Name's Mac. I'm looking for my daughter. They didn't even see the micro-drones when they burst from his case, disabling comms and shredding weapons. He retrieved the girl from the detention block, left a note scratched on the cell wall. Found her. 11 left. The galaxy began to whisper. Terran ships weren't beautiful, but they were everywhere. Human strikes were random, yet perfectly timed. The Empire launched counterattacks and found empty bases, or worse, bases rigged with children's toys that exploded into noise-blasting EMPs. Annoying, effective, and humiliating. Zurich finally called a full council session. He stood, tail twitching, mandibles bared. They have no central command, no rules of engagement, no unity. YRH Tharn shook his head. They have family. And what does that give them? Zurich roared. Purpose, Tharn said. And monsters with purpose don't sleep. Sean received the signal. Another child secured. 8 left. He looked out the viewport, stars glittering like 1,000 blinking eyes. We never wanted a war, he whispered. Then he took a sip of coffee and added, but you wanted our children. The Imperial High War Command met in near silence. The room, circular, vaulted, metallic, had seen centuries of strategic debate. Wars planned, armadas forged. But today, the air tasted like fear. The central holotable flickered with red alerts across half a dozen sectors. Explain it again, Overlord Dravik said, his tone cold and deliberate. Fleet Commander Rhine didn't blink. He just pointed at the red data cascading across the feed. 16 bases lost in the last 5 rotations. 7 infiltrated. 5 simply shut down. Sabotage. No. Control. Each system was taken with precision. No orbital bombardments. No excessive force. Just turned off. Like Earth knew every pressure point. Dravik narrowed his deep violet eyes. Earth is a child species. Kinetic weaponry? Outdated. Their communication systems are wide open. Their encryption is laughable. And yet, Rhine said, we can't find them. That hung in the room like a bad scent. Perhaps they are simply lucky, offered General Thox, an armored centipede-like being with a low rumble to his voice. A streak of sabotage. We've seen this before. No, we haven't, said Rhine. He pulled up a video. It was footage from a planetary garrison. Dozens of alien soldiers lined up. One by one, they dropped weapons. Not because they were threatened. Because they had received messages. Each message was a picture. A human child, smiling, standing beside a map. A local map. Each child had been placed in familiar terrain. Home terrain. Near those garrisons. And who sent these messages? Dravik asked. Ryan hesitated. Then, Sean Drake. The name echoed like a thunderclap. That diplomat? Thok spat. Ryan shook his head. He's not a diplomat. Not anymore. His record's been redacted across 6 Terran sectors. Only codename fragments remain. Black Coffee. Mr. Monday. The Mirror. Dravik scoffed. And what of his tactics? Ryan tapped the display. He doesn't strike from above. He infiltrates first. Earth isn't engaging us with fleets. They're letting individuals unravel our stability, our alliances, even our citizens. Another video. An Empire civilian world, safe, supposedly, now flashing with riots. Alien parents waving banners written in Terran Basic. If they'll go to war for their children, what will they do if we touch ours? Sean Drake leaned against the wall of a rusted-out orbital cargo rig orbiting Rytos Delta, sipping from his chipped thermos. The air smelled of engine oil and weapon grease. Perfect. Lieutenant Childr was hunched beside him, rerouting the comm relays through disguised Terran satellites. They're still chasing fleet ghosts. Haven't even pinged our real jump points. Sean nodded. Because they're thinking like conquerors. And we're not. He grinned. No, we're thinking like parents. He pointed to a red pin on the map. Next one's here. Girl, 10 years old. Loves dinosaurs. Taught herself Morse code after school for fun. Childr blinked. You think she's still alive? I know she is, Sean said, eyes darkening. Because she tapped out an SOS through their fire alarm system. 3 syllables. DAD. Childr whistled. She knew someone was listening. She knew I was. Across the galaxy, Ambassador YRH Tharn sat alone at his private council chamber. His feathers were dull now. Stress lines etched deep around his golden eyes. A secret message blinked on his personal pad. Encrypted. Human standard. He opened it. A simple message. We are not here for war. We are here for closure. Tell the council to stand down or watch the stars go dark. Attached. A video feed of an Empire facility. Empty. Clean. Unlocked cages. The 12th child smiling shyly into the camera. YRH closed the pad and breathed deeply. Humanity hadn't just launched an assault. They'd mapped the psyche of every member of the Empire first. Then aimed their campaign at guilt. Fleet Commander Ryan wasn't convinced. Human tech is still inferior, he repeated to Dravik later. They lack pulse cannons. No gravity disruptors. No AI battlenets. Dravik stood by the viewport, watching distant stars blink. We underestimated their technology. Yes. But worse, we underestimated their patience. Sir. Dravik turned. They could have retaliated the moment those children were taken. But they waited. Let us laugh. Let us declare. Then they started pulling us apart from within. Ryan frowned. They had this planned. No, Dravik admitted. But they had people prepared to adapt. Their best weapon isn't machinery. He looked Ryan in the eye. It's spite. In Sector K-12, a human operative crouched in a sewer duct under the imperial world of Targo Prime. He was bruised, half-starved, and still smiling. His comm buzzed. Status. Sean asked. The operative whispered, Kid's in good shape. They feed her every 3rd cycle. She keeps asking for peanut butter. Any guards? Too many. But she's been drawing maps. She knows the rotation schedules better than the warden. Sean chuckled. Tell her I'm proud. She already knows, the operative replied. She said to tell you, and I quote, unleash the antes. A long pause. Then Sean simply said, Roger that. On the Empire news feeds, panic began to creep in. A peaceful farming colony posted surveillance showing 12 human civilians teleporting into a seed vault, disabling the defense grid, and leaving behind gift baskets. No demands. No hostages. Just baskets. Inside, fresh fruit. Photos of the missing children. A note. These aren't just Earth's kids. They're humanity's. If you find them, help them. Or get out of our way. The colony defected by morning. Back aboard Reckoning Tide. Sean paced the bridge as Childr brought in the latest report. 4 more bases lost. 3 surrendered outright. 2 defected. Sean tapped his fingers together. Have the defectors been verified? Childr nodded. Most. Some are scared. Some just believe. Good. Belief spreads faster than bullets. Childr hesitated. We still haven't made a formal declaration. Because this isn't war, Sean said. This is proof of concept. We're showing them who we really are. And who's that? Sean leaned on the command table. A species that's good at building, at peace, at pretending to be weak. But when pushed, Sean whispered, we become a pack of strategists, engineers, and maniacs with mom tattoos and revenge fantasies. In the Empire Senate, Chancellor Zurich slammed his fists against the table. They mock us. They humiliate us with memes and mischief. They left a pie on my battleship's bridge. YRRH Tharn didn't laugh. He looked at the footage again. The pie hadn't been random. It was a family recipe, recorded in the files of a missing Earth child. It had taken her 3 days to perfect it with her grandmother. The message was clear. We remember everything. And we're coming. At a hidden bunker beneath the ruined Empire fortress of Draxus, Sean stood before 12 chairs. Only 6 were filled. Children with tired eyes, small smiles, and old souls. We're getting the rest, he promised them. One boy raised his hand. Will you hurt them? Sean looked down. Then he crouched to eye level. Not if they stop us. And if they don't? Sean's voice dropped. Calm. Gentle. Then we educate. Above them, human ships silently coasted through asteroid belts. Coated in debris. Buried in stillness. They didn't blink. They didn't shine. They waited. They thought Earth had no teeth. But Earth smiled too much. And when it stopped smiling, the bite was already in motion. Sean Drake stood on the bridge of the reckoning tide, backlit by a dozen galactic suns through the wide viewport. His coffee thermos rested beside a stack of handwritten letters, each sealed with a child's fingerprint. The final 12. All recovered. The ship was silent, orbiting what remained of the Empire's outermost capital, a skeletal ring station floating in a slow death spiral, its surface blistered and cracked, its calm silent. Behind Sean, Lieutenant Childr approached quietly, holding the latest data slate. All Empire transmissions have ceased in the Central Command Quadrant. 8 planets have declared neutrality. 14 asked for human protection. Sean took the slate, scanned it, and set it aside. Did they finally broadcast an apology? He asked. Childr shook his head. They broadcast a request for mercy. Sean exhaled softly. That's not what we asked for. He turned and walked toward the hologram table. A map of Empire territories pulsed, red where resistance once stood, now gray where surrenders had followed. Only one glowing marker remained, Vasker Prime, the last major Empire stronghold, still defiant. Still pretending Earth would blink first. Bring up the Vasker feed, Sean said. Childr tapped twice. The central view shifted. A live drone feed appeared, showing the alien planet's orbital perimeter. Thousands of ships, their sleek hulls bristling with weapons. Empire's last gamble. Every fleet vessel they could recall. Every gun aimed outward. Impressive, Childr muttered. Desperate, Sean corrected. They've forgotten we don't aim to impress. From the drone's view, the human ships weren't visible yet. But they were there. Thousands of Terran vessels, camouflaged into dead orbital shadows. Silent, waiting for his signal. Any word from the children's families? Sean asked without turning. All 12 confirmed safe. 2 already enrolled in tactical academies. 1 requested therapy. The others just want to go home. Good. Sean reached into his coat and pulled out a worn piece of cloth, embroidered with a child's drawing. A crude version of Earth. A stick figure holding hands with 3 smaller ones. The words below were scribbled in glitter pen. Dad will find us. Childr stared at it. That was in the Empire files? No, Sean said. It was in her pocket. A pause. Then, softly, we're done here. No, Sean replied. They are. On Vasker Prime, Overlord Dravik stood tall in the war chamber, flanked by what remained of the council. His voice was grim. They won't strike. Not directly. They'll bait us, sabotage supply lines, destabilize morale. They've already done that, hissed Zurich, now stripped of his chancellor title, robes replaced by hardened combat plating. Dravik turned slowly to him. Then let's force them to act. Draw them into the open. Full planetary lock. Activate orbital scorch defense. Another officer interjected, trembling. And if they don't take the bait? Dravik's eyes narrowed. Then we make peace. You think they want peace? Dravik's answer was barely above a whisper. No, but maybe they'll settle for silence. They didn't. Sean Drake's voice crackled into the orbital comms of Vasker Prime at precisely 0600 local time. There was no preamble, no declaration, no flare of dramatic music. Just calm, quiet audio. You took 12 of our children. You built cages. Called it an oversight. We asked you to return them. You didn't. We asked again. You laughed. Now we're not asking. Then came the second part. A single pulse. Every human ship lit up at once, not with weapons, but with jammers. Entire sensor grids across the Empire's final command fleet went black. Star charts flickered. Comms collapsed. Targeting systems began to misread friendly IFF tags. Then came the real weapons. Not plasma cannons. Not antimatter lances. Railguns. From hidden asteroid fields, from hollowed-out moons, from stealth-class submarines embedded in planetary oceans. Rail slugs fired with precise kinetic force, punching clean through Empire ships that had never even raised their shields. Within 32 seconds, the outer fleet was gone. Dravik screamed, slamming his claws onto the console. Get me eyes. Fire something, anything. But it was too late. The final message from Reckoning Tide transmitted directly into his chamber. We don't make peace. We make wreckage. And right now, you're standing in the blueprint. Dravik's eyes widened. Seconds later, the planetary AI that powered Vasker's atmosphere stabilization core detected a cascading failure, triggered not by brute force, but by an equation slipped into their system code 3 weeks earlier. By a human child. Sean stood quietly as the light from Vasker Prime blinked out behind him. No cheers. No celebration. Just silence. Final count, he asked. 0 civilian casualties. 12 children. 12 returns. And 1 extra. Sean turned. 1 extra. Childr nodded. One of the Empire's own defected. A young girl. She helped hide one of the Terran kids. Said she wants to live on Earth. What's her name? Kala. Sean smiled. Send her a school bag. Tell her she'll need it. Later that evening, Sean opened the final council channel. Dozens of alien faces. Nervous. Ashamed. Curious. He stood alone. No guards. No banners. Just him. The thermos. The cloth drawing. I won't waste your time, he said. We are not conquerors. We're not expanding. We're not here to rule. He held up the drawing. We're here because you took something you shouldn't have. He looked directly into the lens. We won't be everywhere, but we will always be watching. Then he ended the broadcast. Weeks passed. The Empire dissolved. Former colonies turned independent, declaring peace under new charters, most adopting Earth-like constitutions. Some even flew the Terran flag for protection, not as vassals, but as allies. Humanity never raised a new banner. They just returned home, quiet, but watching, always watching. On a green hillside overlooking the Pacific, Sean Drake sat cross-legged, surrounded by kids. Some were his. Some were once missing. All were laughing. He sipped his coffee, finally smiling, not as a diplomat, not as a strategist, but as a father. A boy nearby pointed to the sky. Do they know we're not coming back? Sean looked up. The Empire? Yeah. He nodded. They know. Good, said the boy. They were stupid. Sean grinned. They weren't stupid. Just forgetful. Forgetful. They forgot what a parent becomes when you hurt their child. They remembered now. And no one forgot again. Not for the next 1,000 years.